remote countryside, there lived a farmer named Tobias. Tobias was known far and wide for his greed. He had a vast and fertile piece of land. But no matter how bountiful his harvests, he was never satisfied. One year, the rains were plentiful, and the crops flourished. Fields of golden wheat swayed in the breeze, and the apple orchards bore fruit in abundance. Most farmers would have rejoiced, but not Tobias. He couldn't see the beauty in the fields of grain. Instead, he saw bags of gold that had yet to be harvested. One day, a wise old man named Elijah visited the village. Elijah had a reputation for offering sage advice to those who sought it. Tobias, however, had heard that Elijah possessed magical seeds that could yield even greater riches, driven by his insatiable greed. Tobias approached Elijah with a cunning plan. He said,
"Wise Elijah, I have heard of your magical seeds. I wish to buy them from you so I can have the most abundant harvest this land has ever seen. Name your price, and I'll pay it."
Elijah, with a knowing smile, agreed to sell Tobias the seeds. He warned,
"These seeds are indeed magical, but remember, greed can lead to ruin. Plant them with a pure heart, and they will bring you prosperity."
Ignoring the warning, Tobias handed over a bag of gold in exchange for a small pouch of seeds. He couldn't wait to sow them and reap a harvest beyond his wildest dreams. The next morning, Tobias planted the magical seeds with great anticipation. He watered them diligently, but his impatience grew as he watched other farmers harvest their crops. He started to doubt the seeds and became increasingly anxious. Weeks passed, and finally, the day of the harvest arrived. As Tobias entered his fields, his heart pounded with excitement. To his amazement, the plants had indeed grown taller and more vibrant than any others, but there was a problem. Instead of producing grain, they bore thick, thorny vines. Tobias attempted to harvest the thorny vines, but they pierced his hands and tore his clothes. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't gather anything of value. In frustration, he turned to Elijah, who had been watching from a distance. Elijah approached him and said,
"Tobias, I warned you that greed can lead to ruin. These seeds were meant to teach you a valuable lesson. True prosperity comes from appreciating what you have, not constantly craving for more."
Tobias finally understood the lesson. He realized that his insatiable greed had blinded him to the beauty of his land and the simple joys of farming. He spent the rest of his days tending to his fields with gratitude, contentment, and a heart free from greed. And so, in the end, the once greedy farmer found true wealth, not in bags of gold, but in the riches of a fulfilled and humble heart. His fields, though not magical, produced the most abundant harvests, and he was admired not for his wealth, but for the wisdom he had gained.